In the newest Jurassic World movie, a dinosaur escapes containment because of a Snickers wrapper. Not sabotage, not a power outage, just a candy wrapper in an air vent. It sounds absurd, but it made me pause because Snickers has always been tied to one thing: hunger. And that scene, whether it's meant to or not, accidentally points back to why the Snickers bar even exists in the first place. Let's go back, before the D-Rex, before the Jurassic Park films, to the 1920s. Back in the 1920s, soda fountains were the place to be. Americans were obsessed with them. Malted milk drinks were the fancy treat of the time. Rich, frothy, and only available if you had the time and money to sit down and order one. Enter Frank Mars, a guy who knew candy, mostly because he grew up with it. Frank had polio as a child, and during his recovery, his mother taught him how to make hand-dipped chocolates at home. That early skill became his hustle. By his 20s, he was selling homemade candy out of his kitchen in Tacoma, Washington, and failing. Then he tried again in Minnesota, and failed again. But Frank didn't quit. He studied what worked, watched market trends, and eventually figured out that people didn't just want sweets. They wanted familiar flavors packaged in new ways. And in 1923, he took a big swing and created the Milky Way, a candy bar designed to taste like a malted milkshake you could carry in your pocket. The Milky Way was cheap, satisfying, and different. It had malt-flavored nougat, a layer of caramel, and was coated in chocolate. By the late 1920s, it was the best-selling candy bar in America. Basically, it was the original milkshake to go. But then came 1929. The stock market crashed. The Great Depression hit, and suddenly Americans didn't just want a candy bar. They needed value. That's when Mars did something brilliant. He didn't stop making candy, he evolved it. He took the Milky Way base, nougat, caramel, and chocolate, and made it more filling, more satisfying, and more practical. He added peanuts, not just for flavor, but for substance. Peanuts was cheap, calorie-dense, and packed with protein. People were already eating peanut butter sandwiches and roasting peanuts to survive, so Frank Mars turned that into a candy bar. Snickers was candy, but it was disguised as lunch. It was the perfect Depression-era snack, sweet enough to feel indulgent, substantial enough to feel like a meal, and named after the family horse. The Mars family had a beloved horse named Snickers, and when the time came to name their new bar, they went with something that felt familiar and personal, even if it had absolutely nothing to do with nougat or peanuts. And that original brand idea, that it's used to curb hunger, that's still happening. Think about it. You're not you when you're hungry. That's not just clever marketing. It's a throwback to the 1930s. Snickers found a permanent spot in American culture by doing what few products ever managed: to solve a problem people didn't know they had. It didn't just satisfy your sweet tooth. It filled you up, and that made it recession-proof and war-proof. If only it were dino-proof. Which brings us back to Jurassic World Rebirth. That Snicker wrapper in the air duct, it's not just a gag, it's almost poetic. The one thing that was designed to prevent hunger ended up unleashing it in the form of a rampaging dinosaur. Snickers didn't just survive the Great Depression, it outlasted it, it outgrew it, and in one alternate universe, it unleashed a monster.